Welcome back, episode 3 of the Tipsy Tailgate. We're happy to have you back in. We've got a really good show for you today. I'm Aiden.
I'm Ben.
I'm Jake.
Today we're going to go into some NBA news for the first time this year. Some NFL. We're going to touch on J.J. Watt, maybe a little bit of maybe Deshaun Watson, maybe some other guys. And then we're also going to do our first ever, the Tipsy Tailgate rapid fire segment. We're very excited to bring it to you guys. We got a good one in store, and let's start with the Lakers' outlook. Now that Anthony Davis was reported with an injury, it was an Achilles injury, and a calf. It came in the MRI that he had a calf injury that was more significant than they first anticipated. What's your thoughts, your outlook on the Lakers for the rest of this year?
I think that if AD is healthy and ready to go by the playoffs, they'll repeat. I think this is the deepest team LeBron's ever had. Obviously, in my eyes, AD is the best teammate that he's ever had. I just think that this Lakers team is so good, and if AD's healthy, I don't see anyone stopping them. But with that being said, if he's not good to go, I think the West is wide open. I think that Utah would have a good shot. I think Portland would have a good shot. And, but I'm rooting for LeBron, so hopefully AD is good to go.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And the Lakers posted his test results and said, there's no severe damage to his Achilles. And then Montrezl Harrell was posting on his Instagram story yesterday that, AD's good to go, he's fine. So, I have faith in the Lakers. I have faith, in their medical staff. They're going to get AD right. I think they're going to repeat again.
Yeah, so if the Lakers, if Anthony Davis actually, because we all know Anthony Davis has suffered so many injuries in the past. So many people call him injury prone. It could turn into something more. Obviously, we don't wish that on anybody. But if it does turn into something more and he's out for an extended period of time, who are your favorites? I immediately look at the Nets, and obviously I'm a Nuggets fan. But I think the Nuggets could get hot and really click at one point this year and become a favorite.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Nuggets are great. I think Jokic is a top 3 player in the Western Conference. He's a great player. But in the East, I would say I think that the 76ers have a shot to come out of the East against the Nets. I think that the Nets' defense is really going to hurt them. You've seen this with Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni before. They're great in the regular season, putting up points, but when push comes to shove in the postseason, they can't stop anyone.
No, yeah, it's true.
For me, though, I think it's finally the year now, and I hate to say it because they always just seem to blow it in the playoffs, but I think the Bucks could honestly make a run this year. I think Giannis is fed up. They acquired Drew Holiday to help him out. Drew Holiday's the type of guy who's experienced and he's a good player. Come playoff time, he's not going to sell a game for you. So you got experienced guys on that roster now, and I think they're going to do something.
Yeah, so we'll keep you guys in tune with what goes on with the Lakers and AD. Second topic of the day, MVP so far in the NBA. Obviously, LeBron James seems to be always in the discussion and always a really good option for the MVP. Right now, he's currently leading the OddsShark odds for MVP. And second is my pick, personally. I think Nikola Jokic. Like I said, I think the Nuggets get hot. I think they click. They're on a 3-game winning streak. I think this team's going to, like I said, get together and start playing the basketball that they played in the bubble. Even better, maybe even. I think Jokic will win MVP. That's my prediction from here on out.
In my opinion, I think that LeBron is number 1 for MVP right now, and at number 2, I would have Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
But LeBron at 1, I think that it's a pretty safe bet, especially with the news of Anthony Davis. If he misses some time and LeBron can keep them afloat, keep them within that 2, 3, 4 spot.
He's going to have to
in the Western Conference.
Without him, they're really
LeBron
strong.
will for sure win the MVP this year.
Yeah, you said it perfectly, Ben. I think with AD being out too, it's not sort of stat padding, but LeBron doing what he needs to do to make sure the Lakers win. And if that's going out and putting up 30, 10, and 10 a night, because he doesn't have Anthony Davis, then you know what? They're going to win that way, and it's going to look really good in his MVP case.
Yeah, so let's get into biggest surprise good and biggest surprise bad so far in the NBA season. We each have our best or our good and our bad surprises, and we'll get into that.
My good surprise is the Utah Jazz. Not that they're a good team, because obviously they have a lot of great players on their team,
Always
and everyone is expected them to be in the playoffs. But 23-5, and I believe it's a 8 or 9 game win streak. That's just pretty phenomenal. Donovan Mitchell is playing MVP caliber basketball right now. He's playing great. He's not, I wouldn't say he's in the top 3, but he's playing great basketball. And
Jordan Clarkson.
He dropped 40 the other night.
He can ball. He's very slept on.
The Jazz have 6 players who are averaging 12-plus points per game. They have a lot of depth, and they're a great defensive team.
They're one of those teams that kind of remind me of the Hawks of, I think, 2015, that one year that
they just mesh well together.
Yeah, where they just chemistry, they mesh, and it's just a team that it's like the stereotypical, like, that's a basketball team that knows how to play together.
But the question that I have with them is that come playoff time, when they play these gargantuan superstars,
yeah.
How do you stop them? And do your good players, your somewhat star players, can they show up when the times get, tough?
Yeah, and I think we all know the answer. Donovan Mitchell will, or at least we anticipate he will in those moments. But I mean, Rudy Gobert's there, but like,
this Utah team, I'm not saying that they're obviously not as good as the 03, 04 Detroit Pistons teams, but the way they're built kind of reminds me of that.
A little similar, yeah.
Where they have a great defensive big,
yeah.
a great 2 guard who can play defense and get buckets, and then a bunch of guys who can get 15 points a night.
Yeah, no, and it's honestly it's a team that maybe prior to the superstar era, the stacked teams, the 3 stars, 2 stars, like we see nowadays, that's a team that would be the favorite to win in the league. But now you're going up against teams with you got KD. The Nets have KD, Harden, and Kyrie, and like you're going against teams that have 3 guys that could drop 30, 40 points on you, and the Jazz pretty much only have 1 with Donovan
Mitchell. But with that
Mitchell.
being said, if the Lakers don't have AD, then I think that would be a very interesting playoff.
It would.
Series.
I'd love to see that. So let's get into yeah. So and then that was your good. What about your bad?
My bad. A team that's turned around a bit, won 4 of the last 5 games, but still the Dallas Mavericks came out so slow. Luka looked out of shape, but he's found his rhythm. He's averaging 29 points now. Like I said, they won 4 in a row until losing to the Blazers the other night. But Porzingis needs to find a way to stay healthy. Clearly, that's a problem for him, and hopefully they can figure that out and get back on track.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I'm gonna say good. I'm gonna say big, good surprise. Bradley Beal. We all knew he's a monster. He's a superstar. But did we know he was this good? I mean, he's balling out right now. He's first in the league in points per game with 33.1 points. Second place is 3 points fewer a game in the average. That's just a huge margin. Like you don't really see that very often in the NBA. I think he needs to get traded to a contender because if Bradley Beal's on a team that's fighting for a top playoff spot or fighting for even a chip, he's gonna make a huge difference, and he's the type of guy that I'd love to see on a team to put them way over the top.
He's also the kind of player who could fit with any team.
Anyone. Yeah, he's a scorer. He puts his heart out there. You saw him on Instagram, like I think yesterday or maybe 2 days ago. He was going under the bleachers to grab a basketball. Like he just loves playing basketball, and he's balling out right now. That was a really my good surprise. Bad surprise again with the Nuggets. Slow start. I don't think anybody really saw a slow start for the Nuggets, considering they're a team that, if you're the Nets, you could see them getting a slow start in terms of they don't have the chemistry, 3 superstars, but like they don't really know where to put the ball, who to have it in, and which situation. But for the Nuggets, it's not something that you usually see because it's a well-coached team.
For a little bit.
It's a team that's together. Not many changes were happening in the offseason. And it's a team that doesn't have these huge names, but they have these
good enough
great names that will do what they need to do. So it's very surprising to me that they had a slow start. But with that said, they've been getting hot. They won the last 3. And I think they'll be a surefire contender this year. Like I said, I think Jokic powers this way all the way to the MVP. And I think this team, this Nuggets team, barring a Lakers healthy AD, I think they could definitely be representing the West.
So my good this year, being from the New Jersey, New York area, was obviously the Knicks. I think the Knicks are 14 and 15 right now, which, in all honesty, what did they win 19 games last year?
Yep.
So, Tibbs came in there.
One of the top defensive teams in basketball.
Yeah.
Right, laid down the law, said we're going to win games playing defense because we don't have these great offensive players on our team, so we're going to get gritty, we're going to do what we need to do, and we're going to grind out games. And the Knicks, I think, are making a playoff push. They just traded away a pick and Dennis Smith Jr. to go get D Rose.
Yep.
Who's gonna
Which
contribute.
I like that. I like that.
Just a gritty guy. I think his first game, like within the first 2 minutes, had a steal and then made a big play for him. So you got guys like Emmanuel Quickly.
Quickly's been phenomenal. We watch almost every Knicks game because we have a couple of Knicks fans in here, and he every other game he looks like he's making a phenomenal play. 22 points, this, that,
Right.
whatever.
And I think besides LaMelo Ball, I think he's one of the most confident rookies in the NBA.
You could see the confidence really radiates off him. You could see
Right.
it he just carries himself differently than a lot of rookies.
RJ is coming into the form that every Knicks fan hoped that RJ would come into. He's putting up 16, 3 and 3, I believe, this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's so great.
Something around that stat line. And then other guys, Julius Randle too, probably going to be an All-Star. Would be pissed if he wasn't an All-Star, but
yeah, he's having a great year.
Averaging 20-plus points.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
right.
Just put up 44 last night. And then, on the other hand, my biggest downfall, or the worst team in my eyes this year, the team that went to the finals from the Eastern Conference last year, the Heat. They're 11-15 right now. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler's always going to be Jimmy Butler, but he's not the Jimmy Butler that he was in the playoffs last year. And that's what the Heat team needed. I think, I've heard a lot of rumors that the Heat are going to try and heavily go after a point guard, especially Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline. I think that's going to help them tremendously. But I'm not really seeing any production. Like Bam's averaging, I think, 18 and 9 this year. That's not all-star caliber stat line from a guy who you gave $160 million to.
Yeah.
So, it's just everybody needs to be better on their end. But from the Knicks side, love what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get into J.J. Watt, recently released from the Houston Texans after an illustrious career there. Hall of Famer, without a doubt. One of the greatest defensive players to play the game. And he came out and there was rumors that he was taking liking to going to the Browns, which was very interesting in my opinion. But it's something that I could kind of see because when I look at J.J. Watt, I look at a guy who loves adversity and who loves to kind of break from the normal. And what would be more from breaking from the normal than going to the Browns and taking a team that's never been good for the past however many years, and after a playoff appearance, kind of pushing them over the edge and getting them to a Super Bowl? That would be phenomenal. That would be a great story. And him and Myles Garrett there would be a crazy duo to stop. But other landing spots, I think the Steelers are a possibility. Pair him up with his brother. Obviously, his brother's one of the best. Should have probably I think many people agree that he was snubbed for Defensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald won it, but
I think Aaron Donald deserves it.
Aaron Donald deserves it, but when you look at the stats, it was very close to the point where T.J. Watt was just like.
He was better, but Aaron Donald having those type of stats being double teamed as a one-tech lineman is just insane.
It also comes back to like the Coach of the Year stuff with Belichick. Yes, he's definitely probably the Coach of the Year almost every year, but he's not going to win it every year. So I kind of figured it would be one of those things where they'd give it to Watt and Aaron Donald will get like 1 year back. But who knows? If he goes to the Steelers, pairing up with his brother, that would be a very, very cool thing to watch. The Bucks, I could see him ring chasing, following Brady. I'd love to see that with Adrian Peterson possibly. And then the Packers. The Packers are interesting because that's a team that I think he'd fit really well in terms of like what they need and a team that could use a little bit of a push to get over the hump. But the Packers never really make any, and it's part of the Green Bay motto. They never really make any free agent signings. It's not a huge free agent destination. Majority of their players are from in-house, drafted, all that stuff. So I don't know if I could see that, but it would be interesting. I'd like to see him go there.
I could see him on the Packers because I believe the deal he wants $6 to $8 million, but major incentives added onto his deal. And I think he wants a max of a 2-year deal. So his cap hit really isn't that heavy on a team anymore. So, a guy from Wisconsin, a guy who said at the University of Wisconsin commencement speech that he still has all the Packers stuff in his childhood room growing up. He still loves it. I could really see him going to the Packers. I heard a report that he didn't want to go to the Steelers, which I don't understand why, because why wouldn't you want to be with your brothers, especially on the tail end of your career? And when you can mentor one of your brothers as well. Like,
Yeah, who has the potential to be
Well,
better, if not...
I'm not sure he'd like to share the field with his little brother while his little brother is a
doing
far
better.
better football player than
Yeah.
he is at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, but listen, the chance that T.J. Watt becomes what J.J. Watt was, it could happen, but there's
Unlikely.
There's very few guys like J.J. Watt, and I think he knows that as well. You know, coming from personal experience, I know J.J. Watt is one of the hardest workers ever. You know,
Yes.
a very quiet guy, will get in, be the first one and last one to leave. And wherever he goes, he will make an immediate impact on that team.
Yeah, I agree. Did you have any...
I think that the team that he should go to is the Cleveland Browns. And I say that because I think that they just need another playmaker on defense. Another guy who can go get the quarterback. Another guy who can go force a fumble, a strip sack in a playoff game to stop Mahomes.
Yeah,
That's what the Browns need, in my opinion. I think he could push them over the top a little bit.
Yeah, and who wouldn't want to go to the Browns and be like, this is the year, you go to the Browns win the Super Bowl.
If you win a Super Bowl in Cleveland, you will be adored forever.
Exactly. I think that's part of it, and I think J.J. Watt's the type of guy that'll do that, that'll like want that reputation. Also, I want to get into Deshaun Watson. There's rumors that the Panthers are gonna make a huge push for him. This is something I could actually see happening. Partly with the Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins, which we've previously stated have been our favorite landing spot for him. The one thing though with the Dolphins is, will the Texans eat their ego and do that trade? Considering that it would pretty much be Laramie Tunsil for Deshaun Watson, including a couple more picks on addition. But it's really the Dolphins would be trading back the picks that they got from trading the Texans Tunsil. And if you're comparing Tunsil or Watson, then you're crazy. Like that makes the Texans look like a dumpster fire organization even more so than they already are. So I could kind of see the Panthers going for him. I mean, not only is that, I think, a perfect fit, him and CMC, that's an offense that I would love to watch. Joe Brady's also there, who worked with Burrow at LSU, and I'm a huge fan of him. I think him and Watson and CMC, all the boys they have there. Curtis Samuel became a big playmaker this year. He had a lot of potential. Yeah, Robbie Anderson had a great year. DJ Moore. You know, these are guys that really they have a nice squad. If they could pull something off, it would be interesting to see who they'd have to trade. Though I think they'd have to give a bunch of picks, but they'd also have to probably give a player. And
well, they do have a lot of draft capital.
They do have a lot of draft capital, but I think if you're going and you're making that move, they might have to put a player in. And I know they don't want to get rid of Jeremy Chin because he's been a star, and they have Brian Burns who's young and a star.
They can't afford to give up either of those.
You can't afford to give up either of them. But then again, the Texans, if you're going to get Deshaun Watson, the Texans are going to want to haul. So
my question to that would be, if you saw what Mike Davis did this year, would you give up Christian McCaffrey and a few picks for Deshaun Watson?
This is interesting because obviously nobody will fight you on that CMC is a freak of nature and a phenomenal running back. But the one thing I'll say is the Panthers do look like a team that's kind of like the Chiefs, that no matter who they have at running back, they're going to have good output. It's like an Andy Reid offense. You're going to have good output. Mike Davis was phenomenal when he was there, and so much to the point where they're like, all right, well, we're not going to risk CMC re-injuring himself. We sat him for a bunch of weeks. We'll keep sitting him. We'll have Mike Davis do probably 3/4 of what CMC would do, and we don't need him to win. Honestly, they'd probably rather lose, get a better draft pick than force CMC in there. It would be something I'd consider, but it's hard. CMC might be a generational running back in terms of how athletic he is, but also how effective he is in all three assets of the game as a running back. So I mean, giving him up would be something that's very hard to see. Do you see that happening?
If I'm the Panthers and they wanted a few picks in CMC, would I do it? Absolutely. But I don't see it happening. Just one, because I think if the Texans are smart, they would realize, okay, you're eating right now. If you keep Deshaun Watson, you're keeping his contract this year, and then you're going to pay him $40 million for the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back in football right now. So you're eating another terrible contract that's ruining your cap situation. And a running back, a good running back will never win you a Super Bowl.
No, I agree.
I would absolutely do that trade, Christian McCaffrey for Deshaun Watson, because
with picks, obviously.
Quarterbacks are just inherently more valuable than running backs are.
Definitely. Yeah, so Russell Wilson. There's rumors that he might get traded. I don't think that's happening, and they've recently come out and said that it's not happening. But I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to send the signal to the Seahawks, their ownership, their management. Look, let me take control. Let me get the offensive coordinator I want. Let me get the O-line I need. You have the weapons you need. Obviously, Chris Carson needs to stay healthy, and you need that output from Tyler Lockett later in the season as much as you had him in the beginning of the year, because he kind of fell off near the end. But I think he's just doing that to kind of be like, listen, I'm serious. I want to have a legacy in this league, and I feel like the past couple of years it's just getting eaten away from poor teams, poor offensive lines, poor coordinators.
Also, there's a lot of reports that Pete Carroll has a lot of control of that organization. He has more control than anybody. It's a bit of a Belichick-Brady situation, a little bit. And I think this is just Russ saying, listen, I'm the best player this franchise has ever had.
Yep.
I wanna have a say on who I have around me. I want to be protected, and I want to play till I'm 40 years old.
And listen, I don't think anybody.
I don't blame him
at all. Yeah. All right. Well, here comes the first ever Tipsy Tailgate rapid fire Tipsy Tailgate takes. We're gonna go around real quick. Couple questions. Tell us if you like it. We want you guys to debate us in the comments. Drop your answers to these questions and compare them to what we've got. Debate us if it's different. All right. Kobe or Tim Duncan?
Tim Duncan.
Kobe.
I'll take Kobe. Carson Wentz or Goff?
Jared Goff.
Goff.
Wentz. Gore. Hall of Famer or not? Frank Gore.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Dream team or redeem team?
Dream team.
Dream team.
Take the dream team. And are you an analytics guy? Are you a fan of it or no? In all sports.
Yeah.
In all sports, yes.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Larry Bird or Magic Johnson?
Larry Bird.
Magic Johnson.
Larry Bird. I've got his socks. I have to. Will Tiger Woods win another major? Yes or no?
No.
No. And finally, Bill Belichick or Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Couple of those, we want to go over a couple of them real quick. Carson Wentz or Goff, that's one of those that's kind of like in between. I'm kind of going off of what the ceilings of these players are from here on out.
Yeah.
I kind of look at Goff and I kind of look at a guy that's not really fully sold on the game. And then I look at a guy like Wentz that's kind of so fed up with all the hate towards him that if he gets traded to like a team, say like the Bears, and a team that where he could fit into, I think he might really pan out a little bit. And I mean, listen, he was an MVP candidate, probably the favorite for the MVP that 1 year before he tore his ACL, and then it all went downhill from then. But Goff has never been a guy that's been touted like that. He obviously went to Super Bowl, but was that more of him or was that more of the surrounding weapons and McVay? So
I also feel like with those two, it's very situational. It depends where they go. If Wentz goes to the Colts, if he doesn't find success with the Colts, then he's just not a good quarterback.
Exactly.
Because they have everything laid out for him to succeed. Even in Chicago, if they find a way to keep Allen Robinson and the rest of those pieces in that defense, he should find success there as well.
Definitely. Anything else we'll get into? Kobe or Duncan? I mean, you're probably the biggest Tim Duncan fan I know, right?
I love Tim Duncan. I think he's grossly underrated and underappreciated.
I agree too, yeah.
20 years with one team. Or not, almost 20, 20 years.
Kobe did that too.
Yeah, I know.
It's true.
More regulated success. Never missed the playoffs. Never had less than 50 wins in a season. 2 MVPs to 1. 3 finals MVPs to 2. Worst teammates. Hate to break it to you. He had worse teammates than Kobe did.
Better coaching though.
Yeah.
Close. It's close.
No, I think that's one that's very close. I think Kobe and Duncan are probably in most top 10s, probably
They're right next to each other in every single top 10.
So that's one of those that take it how you'd like. Frank Gore, there's the whole debate on if he's a Hall of Famer or not. I think his longevity just makes him a Hall of Famer. The one thing is there's always did they for a Hall of Fame like qualifications. Can you tell the story of the sport without mentioning them? If you can, then they might not be a Hall of Famer. But if you have to fit them in, then then they're a Hall of Famer. And I think if you're telling the name of the game of football, at some point, however many hours in, you're probably going to mention, oh yeah, and there's this guy named Frank Gore who
was
can't
in the
stop
top 5 of
he can't stop running the
major
ball.
rushing
And he goes everywhere and he's always solid. So I think that works. Analytics, I think it has its place in certain games. Baseball, it's probably the most heavily influenced. Football, it's probably the least, but it's starting to become a bigger thing with 2-point conversions, onside kicks, all that stuff.
They are overrated at times because
Yes,
the stuff
definitely.
guys do
You need
that,
you need a healthy combination.
You need
though.
you need a balance. If you're going straight off analytics in baseball, you're not really gonna find it because some analytics will tell you this one guy is this best player in the league, and then you do the eye test and he's like, all right, no way.
Right.
And Bird or Magic.
I just think that Larry hit a higher peak than Magic did. He didn't get to do it long enough because of his back, self-inflicted with his back.
Magic didn't really get to do it long enough.
It's
He got to go longer than Larry.
It's a very close to. I mean, it's the same thing. I think Kobe Duncan. It's Bird Magic or
very
right back to back. Those two are maybe something we'll get into for an episode as separate separate segments. And then Tiger Woods winning another major. I can't see it just because. I mean, I think there's a lot of good young talent in golf right now, and with golf growing as a sport, I think it's only going to be, obviously this whole quarantine and pandemic has made golf much bigger of a sport than it ever has, and I think golf will start getting those younger kids, those the fresh blood that have been training for years, and I think that'll start playing their role. Yeah.
With that being said, I think Tiger looks great physically.
Yeah, what he's doing is phenomenal.
Playing fantastic, and I just think that there's going to be one weekend where he's going to figure out a way to squeak it out.
And I'd love to see it, honestly.
Yeah, I think every golf fan would love to see it, but I think just with, like Aiden, you were saying, just how golf is so young. You know, you're having guys that are seriously, golf has become a sport now where chicks dig the long ball. These guys are pressing weight, hitting 400-yard bombs now. Tiger Woods can't do that on a consistent basis and compete, and his short game's not as good as some of these young guys either. Like Ben, you said it also, he's got to find one weekend where he can squeak it out, but I don't see that happening.
Yep, he's got to capture the magic that he once had for a weekend, and maybe it'll happen. But that's all for episode 3 of the Tipsy Tailgate. We hope you enjoyed. Obviously, comment below with your thoughts, with maybe some of your debates, some of your takes on these on the rapid fire topics or any of the topics. Really, subscribe if you haven't. Like the video, comment. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Follow us individually on Instagram, Twitter, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.